Okay, we're gonna get started here with our September Club Q. This kit is called Fun. So that kind of leaves it open for any types of pictures. You can use summer pictures, beach pictures would even be good on this, fall pictures. The theme is very general, so it's kind of nice that you can use it for anything. This uses our new Secret Garden paper line, which is the paper line that we used at our 3-day private reserve scrapbooking events. So if you went to any of those this fall, or if you're doing the one online in November, this is some of the papers that you will be using. We create a 20-page album at that event with a lot of these papers, so these will coordinate with it. So to get started, it says that we suggested Desert Sun, Poppy, and Denim Powder Puff chalking inks. But as always, you use whatever color works for you. You could bring in reds, you could bring in some darker blues, light blue, bright yellows, even some orange. There's a lot of options with this layout, so lots of colors in there. So to get started, we are going to do all the cutting first. I try to get that out of the way first. So I'll bring out my trimmer. And I actually have, for Powder Puff chalking inks, I have, let's see, Deep Sea, which is a beautiful dark blue. And I have Summer Days, which is a really nice yellow. The new yellow is actually Dandelion. That would look really nice with this. In this paper, there's also purples in the flowers. So you could pull in some purples if you wanted to. This is actually Huckleberry, which is a really nice dark purple color. So you choose what works for you. And the first cuts we are going to make are 2x2 squares. We need I'm going to show you here that we have two options. So there is 2 yellow floral papers. This is the small flower, larger flower. This is what they look like on the other side. The first one we are going to cut is actually this smaller one. So what we want to do is we just cut this whole paper into 2-inch squares, and then we have 12, I think, at the end here, because we'll be using all of them. So put this in at 2 inches, cut it in half, and then we are going to just layer these up and cut these all into 2-inch squares. So we have both of them going right now. 2 inches, move it down. Just make sure that they stay together so you're cutting them all the same. If you feel more comfortable cutting them separately, you can do that too, but they just need to be 2-inch squares. And when I'm cutting smaller pieces, or when I'm cutting 2 at the same time, I'm gonna get this lined up, but I always bring my blade back here and I push towards it. So if it doesn't have anywhere to move to. When you go this way, it could turn a little bit as you're cutting it. So I always put it in your trimmer, start down here and push up. Okay, this one looks a little bit off. It's still 2 that way, so we're good. I mean, now I've gotten it lined up quite right. I'm going to trim actually a little bit more of this off. You do not have to do this at home because you probably trimmed it right at 2 like you were supposed to. I was a little off on the last one. Okay, so you have 12 little 2x2 squares. Just put those in a pile. Out of your die cuts that you punched out, there's yellow squares, so I'm just going to keep those in a pile as well. And then we are going to do the cutting diagram. So I always lay this just next to me here. And what we're going to do is we're going to cut off this entire 2-inch strip down the edge there, and then we can work with the rest. So 2-inch strip, you trim, and then you turn it sideways and you cut 2 inches, 2 inches, 2 inches all the way down. And you'll have a bunch of little 2-inch squares. See, I didn't start from down there. That one actually moved a little bit. So I'm starting from down here so that it pushes up against that. And 2 inches. Okay, we'll just start a pile of these also. And we have this piece left. So this right here we want to cut at 3 3/4 by 5 3/4. So we're going to put this back in and we're going to cut it at 3 3/4. So we just trim a little bit off the side here. Let's get it lined up. 3 3/4. Trim that little bit off the side that's just left over. And then we'll turn it this way and trim at 5 3/4. And at any point, if you need to just pause the video and get caught up, get your cuts done, just go ahead and pause it and then push play when you're ready to go. Okay, so we have a 3 3/4 by 5 3/4. I'm just going to set that aside for now. Out of this last piece, we are going to cut these other 2 by 2 pieces. So I'm going to turn it long way, and I'm going to trim a 2-inch strip. Turn it again, 2 inches, and then 2 inches again. So these are kind of leftover odd sizes, so just go ahead and set those aside so that you don't get them mixed in. We'll put that in the pile over here, and then that's, I think, all the trimming that needs to be done. Yeah, and then everything else you just kind of punch out of die cuts. I'm gonna get this out of the way, and I will bring in our background paper. And I'm going to lay these both out, but I'll probably just work on this one 1 page at a time, just to get the squares kind of lined up correctly and stuff. Okay, so to get started, we are going to start on page 1 with the squares. We're going to get all the 2 by 2 inch squares set up on this page, and you can just follow along from the directions. It's kind of easy to spot what goes next, but I'm going to try and follow this exactly how we have it on here. So the way that it will work, so these that you cut out on the other side, we also use some that are on the white side with floral pattern. So just know that so that you know what you're looking for. And that's actually what we start out with. If you want to chalk things up as we go, you go right ahead. If there is, or if you want to just pause and get all your little pieces chalked up, that works too. I'm actually going to use this Huckleberry color on this one, and I'll probably kind of rotate Huckleberry, Summer Days, and then what's this one? Deep Sea. So purple, yellow, blue, but you use oranges, different color blues, whatever works for you. I'm going to use a little purple on this one in particular. And I'm just going to lay them out for right now. The next one is the back side of this. And I'm going to attempt the yellow one here. Oh, you can see it. It looks kind of orangey. That's really pretty, actually. Summer Days. Lay that one out there. Or you can do them all the same, or not chalk them at all. That works too. And this one I'm going to use, on the yellow, I'm going to use a little bit of the blue. I probably wouldn't normally use this many colors, but I'm just using each one so you can kind of see what it looks like. So we are going to glue down these first 3. And the way that we're going to do that so that we know it is spread out evenly. It's kind of eyeballing it, but it also has some measurements in here as far as 1.5 inch from the left edge and 1/2 inch down from the top. So if you have a ruler, what I would do is start this on the side. So I think this is, let me look again, it's 1.5 inches from the left side. And I'm going to use a pencil here and just make a really light mark so that I can erase it later if I need to. So at 1.5, and then down 1/2 inch from the top. So if you measure that down 1/2 inch, I'm not right on top of it, so I can't totally tell. An inch, and then you know where to start. So what I'm going to do is, I'm using this Barely Art glue because I'm going to use just a tiny bit, and it dries quickly, but it gives you a few seconds to kind of like move things around a little bit. So I'm going to put just a little bit in the middle, a couple little dots here. That's all you really need. And then I am going to line that up with this mark and this mark, and just kind of make it straight with the top. And then from here on out, I just eyeball it. You want these about 1/8 of an inch apart. If they get further apart, no big deal. It's, you tailor it to what you like. But I'm just going to put about 1/8 of an inch so that you have that blue in the middle there. And I'm just trying to look to see if this is even and even with the top. And then we're going to put the third one right next to it, about 1/8 of an inch. Okay? So as you can see, there is photo mats right here. So we don't start the 2x2 squares until you get further down the page, because this is all going to be covered up anyway, so no need to waste your squares. We are going to start with the larger yellow flower paper, which is this one, and you go ahead and chalk them up as you go. The next is a yellow, and the next is the smaller yellow flower. And this one, we are actually going to put 3/4, oh, I'm sorry, let me look here. Okay, 5 inches up from the bottom. So what we're going to do, so we still want it 1.5 inches because it's going to line up with this one. 1.5 inches over here, so I'll mark that. So that it stays in line there. And then 5 inches up from the bottom. So we're going to measure 5 right here. And put a mark right there. And then the bottom piece goes right on that mark, the bottom of your square. So go ahead and chalk those up if you want. But I'm going to go ahead and put mine down right to the edge of that chalk mark. Whoops, I went down too far. So the chalk mark is here, and the other one is here. And if you are just slightly off, it's not going to make too much of a difference on this. You just want to make sure that they're even across there. And then again, about 1/8 of an inch over. There you go, 3 of those lined up. And then you just keep moving down the line here. The next one, we will have the white right underneath that. We'll flip this over. Oops, I gotta grab the wrong one. Do the orange. Cut that a little bit different. There we go. And then in yellow. I cut that one just a little bit off. There we go. And go ahead and glue those down. And if they're just a little bit off, nobody is going to notice. Right here, another photo mat goes on, so if they're not totally lined up correctly, it's fine. Or not photo mat, but little tags and stuff. So, okay, so the next one, we actually are going to move in and start at the second one. And go across the yellow. Glue those down. Okay, we got 2x2s in place. Now we have 2 dotted photo backers that came out of your laser cuts. These are going to go right on top of here. And once you have your photos that you know are going to go in this picture, these are the frames. So what I would do is lay this down on your photo so that you can trace around the outside on your photo. Cut your photo out so that it fits right underneath there on each one. Once you get your photo in, then we will use the little squiggly lines here to kind of close up the bottom. Once you have your photo in there, put this across the bottom. Oops. Probably should just glue these down, but don't have my photos in there yet. And then this one goes right underneath of it. Oops. Okay. The other cutting part, which I did beforehand, if you have not cut these out yet, go ahead and hit pause and get them cut out. But all of your little, your journaling pieces and your little quote, you want to cut on the outside of these dots, not on this yellow decorative stitch line. It looks maybe like it's supposed to be cut there, but it's on the outside of the dots. And then this gets laid right onto your page so that you can write some journaling, maybe some dates and something about the day. This goes right over top of it. And then your little tags get lined up. So these all came out of your die cut. What I'm going to do is just put a little, actually I'll put it on the back of this. There's a little bit of glue. Once this gets into your page protector, it's not going to move, so you don't have to put a ton of glue on there. Up. Again, the great thing about this barely art glue, it dries clear, so that'll be gone. You won't even know I just did that. And this can be added, glued down after you get your brads in there. There should be a little packet of brads that has different colors, and you go ahead and use whichever color works for you or where you want them. You can switch them up if you want to. I used blue in this first one, and I glue that down. I used red in the first one. I used the light blue in the second one, and I used yellow in this last one. But all the colors match wherever you put them, so you just grab the one that you want. And that page, the hardest part is getting the squares lined up, but that page is done. Move these together just a little bit. Okay, let's start the next page. And again, it's a lot of lining up the squares, and I'm going to lay these out so that we know what goes where. And the way that we're going to start this is you want a 3/4 inch border pretty much all the way around. So we'll start 3/4 from the top and 3/4 in from the left. And there is 14 that will be going across the page. I'm just checking here. What goes where? Okay. So I'm going to do the ones that we can actually see first in this picture. So, and if you want to, measure 3/4 of an inch down and 3/4 of an inch in. And I'm just going to try and lay these out like it looks in the picture. So this one is the large yellow flower. We got 3 across here. We have 1 orange one under that. Small yellow flower under that. The white, and then a yellow. So I just want these spaced out evenly. Okay, and then it goes all the way around here, so we are looking for the orange. Across here, the white, small yellow, and then the yellow. Okay. Going up the side here, we have a white, an orange, peachish orange, pink color, and a dot. Oh, sorry, not a dot, a small flower. Going up the side. Okay, and then I'm going to go back around and put some glue behind here and just try and get everything lined up. And if you would like to, you can measure down a few dots in each place and then make a line across there with the pencil if you want to. I typically just eyeball it, but the option is there if you want to measure down, and then you can put a few dots at 3/4 of an inch and then put your ruler up, make a line, and then you know that you're getting it exactly straight. But I am just gonna eyeball it from here because I work in abouts. My husband always makes fun of us here at work because Patsy and I, we work in abouts. He works in exacts. So he has to have exact numbers, exact measurements. I work in abouts. Once you get all of these down, then we'll start layering on the top to add photos. I love these papers because it lends itself to any color, really. I mean, you can do reds, oranges, yellows. There's just so many options with this line. It could be boy, girl, a little bit of everything. I have 3 boys, so I use boys' pictures even when there's flowers like this. Most of them it's just a pattern, and it still looks great. It works just fine for boys' stuff. So I just flip back through our Club Q book where we save all the, well, most of the past kits. We have a flyer printed out with them on there so that we know what we did the few months before. And I try to, every year, I try to do at least half the layouts. I love adding flowers and stuff to them, but I try to do at least 4 or 5, sometimes 6 of the layouts throughout the year that have no actual big flowers and stuff on them, because I know that a lot of people have boys like I do, which I still use on the flowery pages, but so yeah, I actually just went through and checked, and last year we did half with flowers, half without. But flowers are just such a fun, easy way to just add lots of dimension to the page and color. But I do try to be cautious when I use them all the time. And I only use them, try to only use it half the time. Okay, once you get these down, then we will put together our photo backers. So you had some pre-cut papers in there. One has purple on the back, flower on the front. You can use either side of these, but we will put these together for photo backers. Put a little glue on the purple side. And I'm just going to lay these out for right now, kind of where it shows on the page. But you may want to move these around a little bit so that it fits your photos better. If you have 2 horizontal photos, those can fit in this way as well. So you just choose your photos and what works for you. And last, we have a yellow mat that goes on top of the dot. And if you'd like to use this side, that's an option too. So the great thing about the Secret Garden line, the 2 new lines, the Secret Garden line and the Forget Me Not line, they actually coordinate. So lots of the papers can go back and forth on those with those. And those paper packs just got added to our website, so if you like this paper, it is available now on our website. You have your Life is Good with the little backer that goes on there. We'll add 2 brads at the end. Hold that together. This gets glued down here once you have your photos all in place. Next you have the 2 bigger tags that go on top, and if you don't have photos in yet, just make sure that you are not gluing this all the way down, just the tops, so that you can flip this up and put a photo in later. And I'm going to use the lighter blue brad in here, but you choose the one that works for you. And this one we actually have as a tag that slides underneath here, but you rearrange it however you need to for your photos. And then you have 2 smaller tags. And the great thing about these, we actually didn't use the inside on these layouts, so you have extra little tags that you could use on another page instead of throwing those away. And then 1 brad goes into each of these. And they get tucked down into here. And this is one that I would probably set up before I glued everything down. Set it up so that you know that all your pictures are showing. Because you don't want this to cover up too much of this photo up here. You may have to move that up a little bit once you get your photos in. And then this one gets tucked down into here. You can make these crooked, coming out of there a little bit, straight, up to you. But there's some fun colors. You can use it for fall, summer, pretty much anything for this, boy, girl. Love these new papers. They're on our website. They are Secret Garden and Forget Me Not. I hope you enjoyed September's kits, and thank you so much for being a Club Q member, and we will see you next month.